On this week's edition of Wildcat Weekly, new staff, the children's play, and a Wildcat you should know. All this and more coming up next. Hi, welcome to the first episode of the 18th season of Wildcat Weekly. I'm your host, Franny Golden. 2018 marks another election year. Eli and Hank take a look into how Neuqua students can participate in this year's election.
On November 6th, citizens who are 18 years or older will be eligible to vote in the state of Illinois. Yet, generally, young adults do not vote in elections. Many politicians and government officials are urging young people to get out and vote.
It's important because it's really your only voice, it's your only representation, and you want to have someone who's going to represent you and making sure that those laws are fair and equitable. You want to vote for somebody whose policies support your interests.
Teenagers are also less likely to vote because this year is a midterm election, not a presidential election.
Many voters feel that midterm elections are not as important, yet that is not the case.
The local elections are more important to you than the national elections because the local laws and ordinances and things that people control have more of an effect on the local residents than someone up in Washington, D.C. does. We may not quite understand that. It doesn't get quite the airplay and media coverage as a national type of election would.
Registering to vote is an easier process than most would assume. You can register online up until October 21st or register in person up until Election Day. To find more information on your polling place, how to register to vote, registration requirements, and more, visit Illinois Online Voter Registration. And for information on candidates, visit Sample Ballot Lookup. And for Wildcat Weekly, along with Hank Pelter, I'm Eli Abushan.
Every year, new faculty and staff join Neuqua Valley. Mason and Scotty take a look into the newest member of the Neuqua Valley staff.
Neuqua's new assistant principal, Mrs. Ruff, has just began her time here. In order to start adjusting to her new environment, there are many things Mrs. Ruff does to be prepared for her job.
So day to day is very different. That's really kind of a similar thing with being a dean because you never know what you're going to get. I try and stay super organized by having like this great whiteboard over here to keep me organized. I kind of start my day at looking at what I have to get done, but things pop up, so it's all about being flexible in my time and kind of prioritizing what needs to get done.
Mrs. Ruff's past has well prepared her to take on new challenges and thrive in her new position.
So education has always been around me and with my entire family, so I always felt that I had that natural ability to connect with school environment with students.
Although it is always hard working in a new environment, there are many things that have helped Mrs. Ruff adapt.
Neuqua Valley has a very supportive environment, especially me being a new assistant principal. Staff, they are very welcome to working with me, helping me kind of navigate the culture and the systems here. I have really enjoyed my experience. I started July 2nd, which was great, so it gave me kind of like a heads up on learning the building and learning my way as far as the class house system and just getting to know key people in the summer.
Welcome to Neuqua, Mrs. Ruff. We wish you an amazing time here. And for Wildcat Weekly, along with Mason Mazurek, I'm Scotty Ballou.
Many people have a hard time finding the perfect homecoming dress. One Wildcat makes her dream a reality. Carly and Tyler take a look into a Wildcat you should know.
Annie Trout is a junior at Neuqua Valley who's been in the apparel construction class for 2 years, and she's improving her own sewing skills by creating her own designs from her own independent style.
I started in like 7th grade when I realized that I enjoyed picking out my own outfits and fashion, and then from there on I realized that I can sew my own clothes, and that gave me a lot of more freedom. And if I were to describe my fashion sense, it is simplistic, and I like to accessorize it a lot just to give it more detail. And I actually get a lot of my ideas from Pinterest, and then that's something that I can base my outfits off of and then make it my own with the accessories.
Annie is taking on new trends by sewing her own homecoming dress for the second year in a row.
I think my favorite pieces I've designed is my homecoming dress for this year, actually. I'm still working on it right now, but it will be done for homecoming. And I really enjoyed making that and my last year's homecoming dress just because you start off from scratch and it turns into something with like a lot of detail and takes a lot of effort and time.
Style can be a personal reflection. Annie describes her own ideas on her designs.
My hopes for the future and like my career in fashion, I'm not sure exactly what type of job I want, but I know I want it to be somewhere in that field, whether that's designing my own dresses or just working for some apparel construction or fashion design line. But I would hope to go to a fashion school in college just to further my education.
Good luck, Annie, on your future endeavors in the fashion industry. And for Wildcat Weekly, along with Carly Herzberg, I'm Tyler Orlow.
The children's play is kicking off next week. Matt and Cam get a first look at Stuart Little.
Stuart Little, Neuqua Valley Theater's 2018 children's play production, is coming to the stage October 4th, 5th, and 6th in the Neuqua Valley Auditorium.
I picked Stuart Little because I love the writer, E.B. White. He also wrote Charlotte's Web, which is a really popular children's lit as well, and his characters are just so human, and he really kind of, through these like unsuspecting characters like a pig or a mouse in this case, he reminds his audiences of what humanity should really look like, because they're just good, benevolent souls that just try to have a voice in this world and be heard in this world in a beautiful, modeling way.
The students involved have worked very diligently to get ready for the big show.
I think for sure that even some of the people who have really big parts, I think they can definitely handle it. Once we really get towards the end of the rehearsal process, we're going to pick up more hours to make sure we're really solid on the things that we're working on.
So a usual rehearsal for us is usually a couple hours after school with blocking, which is staging, and just thinking of different ways that we can get the audience to interact with us too, because when I direct children's shows, I really want the kids to feel like they're part of the production. So we think of different questions we can turn and ask the audience, and we improvise some funny bits, and then I also will improvise some jokes for the adults.
Make sure to purchase your tickets at nvhstheater.com or at the door. And for Wildcat Weekly, along with Cameron Nevins, I'm Matthew Hill.
Thanks for watching the first episode of this year. We hope you enjoyed the McBride vs. Wingate matchups this week. Don't miss the finale tomorrow at the pep rally. Have a great weekend, Wildcats. Enjoy homecoming, and don't forget, beat Wabanzi.
So won't you send me your location? Let's focus on communicating, 'cause I